All right, guys, welcome. Good to see you on a Monday. We are taking the show on the road, headed down to Alabama, as I said just a minute ago. So let's start by previewing this debate. Christie today says that he's in on this debate. He made comments yesterday on CBS's Face the Nation saying he's met the qualifications. Do you think that we see Christie on the stage when the debate takes off on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think so. Looks like he's met a lot of the criteria needed. And I'll be down there too. So I look forward to seeing you down
nice.
there. Look, these debates are always about creating a moment and then taking that moment and turning it into momentum and then ultimately a movement. I don't think Christie has the ability for the latter two. I think he can create some moments. What was interesting to me was in the last debate when he was saying things like, look, we just got to be calmer and quieter and gentler. Can't we work for them? I was thinking, that's not the Christie we all know and love. We want you to be the bawdy, brash, bare knuckle brawler you have been in the past. So don't try to pretend as though everyone else should be calm, giving you the lane to be tough. It was a weird juxtaposition of how we all have come to know and learn and love some of the pieces of Christie. But I think he whiffed last time, but he'll be on stage this time, probably trying to create some of those moments again and see what he can do with them.
You know, Lindsey, Keith, Christie definitely is in the low, 10, 11, 12 polling in New Hampshire. But his national average, which is, well, I don't care for it, is a criteria for the Republican National Committee. His national average is 2.2%. That's what Christie seems to be upset about. He met the state polling, i.e. New Hampshire, one of the early states, but he's not hitting that national one. What do you think he does if he doesn't make this?
I think that we'll hear from him. I think that he'll get, he'll be on the pundit and NBC or something like that. We'll definitely hear from him, maybe some kind of counter programming, not like we've seen from Trump necessarily. But I hope personally that he is on the debate stage. I think he is a voice that makes the debates more interesting. We need that. And no one seems to be able to realize that they all are actually running against Donald Trump right now. He's the only one that really gets that on the debate stage and actually goes after him. If you like how he goes after him or not, he's the one that recognizes this is this is the goal to meet. And so I think that he brings that. If he's not there, it'll be interesting if anyone picks up that slack. We've seen Nikki Haley do that a little bit more. But I do think he'll do some kind of counter programming, whether it is being a pundit on NBC or doing some kind of interview, because he needs that name recognition nationally. Because like you said, he is polling nationally not very well. And I think people kind of know who he is, but they don't know what he's about beyond being against Trump. And he really needs to be able to talk about how he would govern, how he would govern this nation. And I don't think people really know that, except for you hate Trump.
Right. Tony Katz, the Christie strategy is, I'm going to do really well in New Hampshire. I'm going to slingshot into Nevada and South Carolina, and then Katie bar the door, here I go. I've seen that movie before. It never actually goes past the first few minutes. Where do you come down on Christie? Because his whole thing is, I have a right to run my own games, my own strategy. My strategy is I'm going to play strong in New Hampshire and then slingshot forward. He is at 2% nationally, which again, I recognize doesn't mean anything. And he also talks about the fact that if you look back at the winner of the Iowa caucuses in the last few cycles, they were, at 4, 5, 6, 7% at the time. And, no one's bemoaning that idea that you can do well in Iowa and then move forward. I kind of come back and I say, yeah, but you've never had somebody that's had a 50-point lead either.
To the extent that we believe the 50-point, nearly 60-point leads, yes, this is insurmountable stuff. And the last guy who tried the slingshot theory, as you're discussing it, was Rudy Giuliani. And I don't think this sequel works out well for Christie at all. But to Lindsey's point and Hogan's point about where was Christie in the last debate, that is a key question, and one that got missed from every pundit. Where exactly was he? If your entire run, if you're running based on the idea of you're the guy who will smack Donald Trump around, and you don't have a single thing to say about Donald Trump because no one here can say, well, here's what he said about Trump, or here's what he said about Trump policy, or here's what he said about Trump yesterday. Zero. Nothing. He was invisible in the last debate. So I don't know if he's going to be on the stage. Certainly, if you're only going to have 3 or 4 people, I don't mind the 4th person on the stage. But this is his entire methodology. The idea of him talking about how he's going to govern would be a very big departure from why he told us he was getting in this race, that Donald Trump can't be trusted and we need a real Republican in office. And he did not deliver that message in the last debate at all.
Yeah.
Hogan, we talked about the dynamics and the people. What do you want to see out of this one? Because at most, we're talking 4 people on stage. So you got DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and then maybe Christie or not. But at the end of the day, it's either 3 or 4 people. That's a lot more time. Do you want to hear about specific issues that might have gone overlooked? Do you want to see some more interaction? Do you want, as Tony Katz just said, to see some more substance? What is it that you want out of this debate this time?
Well, these things are always so interesting, and debate days and nights, Sean, you can appreciate. They're the best, most fun for the political junkie on the planet if you're not on a campaign. If you're on a campaign, they're horrible because you have to do all the prep ahead of time, tee up the reporters, get ready for this line, get ready for this subject matter, watch him take on him or her on the stage. And then during it, you're having to push all this stuff out in real time. Listen, I'm not afraid of anyone at 1%. Okay, I work for Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee, both of whom weren't even household names at all, much less high in the polls in Iowa at this point, but both of them catapulted and took the state. So things can happen there, obviously. And with someone like DeSantis having Kim Reynolds' apparatus and Bob Vander Plaat's apparatus at his disposal, chances are.
Let me just interrupt you there. You worked for both of these guys, both whom won. What was it that changed between this time in the cycle and the caucuses happening? Because all of those guys were in single digits and ended up winning. What was the dynamic, the ground game effort, the advertising that you saw as a common thread in both of those that changed the game?
Well, there were several. With Santorum, for example, again, it was one of those deals where Romney was at the top and everyone had their shot and then fell down. It was Ben Carson had it, he fell down. Other people kind of rose to the top. Michelle Bachmann, she fell down. Perry came in, he went up and he went down. So it was like everyone had their shot. Santorum put in the work. He went to all 99 counties. We met with a lot of folks and then started to build out that evangelical base, which is so important in Iowa. And so really no one was talking about him until right before Christmas. And there's a great documentary about it called Caucus. It really does capture the inherent awkwardness of campaigning. But one of the moments was in the Des Moines Register. They were about to release their poll, and it was Ron Paul versus Mitt Romney about to win the caucus. And then they realized the polling days before actually had Santorum eclipsing. So they had to make a decision. Do we change the cartoon and get rid of Ron Paul and put in Santorum? And everyone's looking around going, Santorum's for real. This is real. And it took a long time because the person was unknown. The difference here, though, is you have a former president of the United States who doesn't have to say, I promise if you elect me, I'll do these things. Right. He can say, you like what you had before, put me back in, I'll do it all over. And now I know where the bodies are buried. I know what they tried to do to me with the weaponization of government. I'm going to go after them too, not just to protect me, but to protect you from the onslaught of an aggressive government. So it's a weird confluence of events. I think it's unique in all ways, but right now, Trump obviously is the person to beat here.